It's been a 2 years, very in-depth conversation. Our National Museum of Picasso in Paris is dedicated to one single artist, of course, Pablo Picasso. M+ is a very different kind of an institution. We still think of our exhibition programs as the process of defining what M+ is. The core ideas of this museum is that it looks at Asia very broadly, but also make connection between M+ and the rest of the world. Museum in Paris is very used to sending some of their collection out to different museums around the world. So I think one of the reasons why they were really keen to collaborate with us is the proposal of making a conversation between these two very different collections is also very intriguing and stimulating for them as well. I hope this exhibition will spark a lot of curiosity and a lot of questions, such as why is Pablo Picasso still the most famous artist in the world? Through the conversation with the work of other artists, one thing that we hope is that the audiences will discover something new about Picasso as well. There are certain artists and artworks that make direct reference or even homage to Picasso, and he's still continuing impact, even authority. So one important part of the curatorial concept is that without direct connections or influence, different artists and artworks can have conversations with one another. There is a kind of a filter, a sort of conceptual filter, and that filter is what we call 4 archetypes: the genius, the outsider, the magician, and the apprentice. These are words or images, what we think of an artist is, including Picasso. So it is really through those archetypes that we make relations between the so-called master and then artists who follow after him. And once the 4 archetypes were established, it became various conversations that can happen between these Picasso works through the lens of the archetypes. Maybe you can call it blind dates between Picasso and the artists in our collection. Then finally, we landed on about 30 artists who fit into these different sections. One of the first pairings that you are going to see, these were made in 1895 when he was only 13 or 14 years old. It starts to ask questions about, is genius truly born or is genius made? Towards the end of the exhibition will be one of the very important landmarks in Picasso's career. And this is a 1951 painting called Massacre in Korea. He didn't express his politics too often. The news that he heard of atrocities being committed in Korea during the Korean War. He lived most of his life and had most of his career in France. His subjects, per se, don't look outside of his immediate environments. But this particular painting, Massacre in Korea, is one very notable exception. Especially for an exhibition about Picasso in Asia, we had to have this work to really cement the conversation. It wasn't just forced by curatorial concept. The seeds of the conversation were already there in Picasso's works in itself. Zhang is not one of the artists who's included, but actually mentioned in the exhibition book. I wrote quite an extensive essay thinking about Picasso's relationship with Asia. I think it's clear that he was influenced by the Japanese woodblock prints. Even if you don't necessarily see that influence in his work per se, the generations that came before him whether it's Vincent van Gogh or Toulouse-Lautrec, all of them were influenced by Japanese woodcut prints, and he was clearly influenced by that generation of artists. Do know that the famous instances of Picasso meeting Zhang Daichen in the 1950s, that was sort of billed as the meeting of the masters, one from the East and one from the West. But that didn't necessarily produce artworks that are influenced by that encounter. It's just an interesting historical event. The master artist from our part of the world who is included in this exhibition is a Chibaishu. Turned out that Chibaishu has made a number of paintings, the motif of the love of peace. In the period around the end of World War II, it made many images, many iterations of the white dove, symbolizes peace, which became globally distributed. And that's what Picasso became associated with mostly in people's mind. For our research, we discovered this very interesting connection between this Western master and then this Asian master in a very unexpected way. So he featured the exhibition for that reason. Most of the subjects of his art are very intimate. His women, his children, his domestic spaces. His art is his life. There is no separation between these two things. I hope that the experience that our audiences is an experience of curiosity. I think that this is an exhibition that is full of surprises, sometimes tongue-in-cheek humor as well, as much as showing new possibilities of understanding the artworks that were made close to our own time and place. It is an experiment, but I think rather bold gesture allows for us to imagine having works from very different contexts, a conversation with each other. What I'm really anticipating is for people to be stimulated to think more critically and think more creatively about what we think is already so well known, such as Picasso and his art.